Well, Donald Trump faces a week today the midterm elections. What does that mean? It means that the lower house, the House of Representatives, is up for election, and there are some seats, of course, too, up for election in the Senate. But the Senate doesn't really matter. He has a marginal majority there. He's expected, I think, to increase that ever so slightly next time round. But the lower house matters a lot. Now, ever since 1826, with only about two exceptions, in the midterms, the incumbent president tends to lose control of the House. The Founding Fathers wrote the system with a series of checks and balances. Trouble is, most presidents can't govern for the last 2 years of their term once they lose control of that lower house. And the threat that he faces from the Democrats, if they get that majority, they will start impeachment proceedings. Now, it'll get nowhere, because it would need 2/3 of the Senate to approve that, to remove him as president, but it could gridlock the presidency for at least another year. So what happens next Tuesday really does matter in terms of the future of the Trump presidency. And the issue, and yet we've had Judge Kavanaugh and the row about that and whether he'd done terrible things to women when he was in high school, but that's kind of gone away. The defining issue now of these midterms, with 7 days to go, is the caravan. The caravan of thousands of people who are now travelling up through southern Mexico. Where do they come from? They come from El Salvador. They come from Honduras. They're people that come from poor countries. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has basically said very few of them would actually qualify in any definition of his as refugees. But Trump is being tough on the caravan. Let's listen to Trump speaking about this on the campaign trail.
As the caravan, and look, that is an assault on our country. That's an assault. And in that caravan, you have some very bad people. You have some very bad people.
Well, bad people, as Donald puts it. So what he's saying is that many of the people in the caravan are undoubtedly poor people coming from countries that aren't doing so terribly well, but there are some bad people mixed in there. So he's launched, in response to it, Operation Faithful Patriot, and he intends to send 5,200 troops down to that border in Texas with Mexico to back up already some National Guard and border agency staff who were there already. Here he was last night on Fox News being interviewed by Laura Ingraham.
When you look at that caravan and you look largely very, big percentage of men, young, strong, a lot of bad people in there. People that are in gangs, we don't want them in this country. If they want to come into the country, you have to apply like other people. We have millions of people coming in. They're applying. They're coming in legally. We have a very strong border. I called up the military. This caravan is not, they're wasting their time. They are not coming into the country.
What's the military going to be able to do? Obama and
fine.
Bush both sent the National Guard. But it had no effect.
They're not me. I'm sending up the military. This is the military. And they're standing there. And one thing that will happen.
No lethal force.
When they're captured, we don't let them out. What has been happening, and we're not as of pretty recently, we're not letting them out. What happens is they would catch and release. We're catching. We're not releasing.
Tough man Trump. A tweet from him. Many gang members and some very bad people are mixed into the caravan heading to our southern border. Please go back. You will not be admitted to the United States unless you go through the legal process. This is an invasion of our country, and our military is waiting for you. Well, it's Trump, isn't it? I mean, this is classic Trump. It is policy expressed in terms that his supporters will say is strong, it's great, it's got conviction. His opponents will say it's aggressive, it's over the top, it's nasty towards individual human beings. But folks, it is the defining issue of these midterm elections that matter so much to the Trump presidency and the future direction of the USA. So much so that former President Obama is out on the campaign trail attacking Trump for saying what he said.
They're trying to convince everybody to be afraid of a bunch of impoverished, malnourished refugees 1,000 miles away. That's the thing That is the most important thing in this election, not health care, not whether or not
the most important thing. There we are. Obama says it.
Suddenly, it's this group of folks. We don't even know where they are. They're way down there. Don't fall for that kind of fear mongering.
The most important thing. I said it earlier, and it is the most important thing. This is what's going to determine what happens in the midterms. And folks, what this will come down to, it'll come down to about 20 congressional districts. The average district is about 750,000 voters. It'll come down to about 20 districts, and it will come down to probably 200 to 300 votes in each of those 20 districts. So think about it. The whole future of the Trump presidency, of the USA politics, is down to a few thousand people and how they vote next Tuesday. Believe me, that bit I'm certainly right about.